Stacy's Kitchen. My name is Stacy Middlestat. I am the Director of Volunteers at AgingNext in Claremont, California, and the Program Director for the AmeriCorps Seniors RSVP, Retired and Senior Volunteer Program, where AmeriCorps is our sponsor for these volunteer programs. AmeriCorps is the federal agency that promotes and recognizes the volunteer efforts of people throughout the nation. AmeriCorps Seniors in particular celebrates volunteers 55 and older. And that's exactly, if that's who you are, AgingNext wants you. We have wonderful volunteer programs. We'd like you to join us. The majority of our volunteers are between 65 and 79. We have volunteers all the way into their 90s, and some are 55 and 56. So if you have time, if you're newly retired and your honeydews are done, you have time to give something to somebody else. Come and join us. Our own surveys, as well as surveys done by AARP, health plans, transportation is always the top 3 concerns of people who are aging at home and aging in place. Join us as a volunteer driver. We're looking for people who are willing to give just 2 rides a month to a senior in your local community who needs a ride to the grocery store, to a doctor appointment. You could be there for somebody and help them out. If you're interested in volunteering, please give me a call. We'd love to talk to you about it. So today on Stacy's Kitchen, once again, I'm going to try and make an easy, friendly meal with things that you have at home already, and rotisserie chicken. We love it. We buy it. First night, you might have roast chicken and potatoes. Then maybe I'll take it and make tacos with it the next night. Then there's this little bit left. It's not really enough to feed 3 or 4 people. It's kind of sad looking. I can mix it with some rice or maybe, in some soup and make a casserole, but that gets boring after a while too. So this is a recipe that I learned actually back in the 90s, and I still make it to this day, and I make it in a lot of variable ways. This one is called a California chicken club ring. And it's just a way to zhuzh up your leftover chicken in kind of a pretty way. It's a great meal for 1 or 2. If you live alone or you and your partner want something a little different with your chicken, but this is a really, really pretty dish that you can make if you have somebody coming over. Maybe you have somebody come over for bridge or your book club or for bunco even. But it's a really pretty way and an easy recipe. So let's get started. So first off, I don't want my chicken to be dry. So again, staples. I'm going to add a little bit of mayonnaise. I have about 1/3 of a cup of mayonnaise here. That's it. And I'm going to put in just about a teaspoon. I'm using Dijon mustard because I like the tanginess of it. You can absolutely use yellow mustard. I've done the same thing. Just going to put about a teaspoon of Dijon in there. I'm going to mix them up just a little bit first so that they're all incorporated into a nice little sauce for us, I guess you could say. Now I'm going to add my chicken. Again, I'm using rotisserie chicken. I've got barely a cup of just shredded up and chopped up rotisserie chicken that I had left over. Now, I'm using rotisserie chicken because I tend to have it around, a little bit left over. When I learned to make this in the 90s, they made it with canned chicken. I was like, ooh, canned chicken? But honestly, I got to tell you what, it tasted just the same. During the pandemic, I went to Costco too. And there were lines of people stocking their pantries with things that would last. We're all worried, when were the shelves going to be empty again? But I noticed how many people were getting those big cartons of this canned chicken. And it's great to add to your disaster kit, but now if you have some of these that are getting ready to expire, this is a great recipe to use up that chicken in a way that's just a little bit fun or a little different than maybe the way you normally fix it. So I'm just going to mix that up. I have here just about a tablespoon of diced onion, just for flavor for us. I have about a tablespoon of chopped parsley that I put in here. You can absolutely use dry parsley if you wanted to. You could even use cilantro. Just a little bit of herbaceousness to add into our mix here. And then my favorite ingredients, I just have 2 little chopped up pieces of bacon. You could use bacon bits. You could substitute it for ham. You could, then you'd have like the chicken and ham more like a club. Absolutely. But I happen to really like the bacon in there. And sometimes when you have just 2 pieces of bacon left in the package and there's 2 of you, there's a fight going to get on. And last, I'm using shredded Swiss, cheddar, jack, pepper jack, any kind of cheese. I like Swiss in this recipe, but if I don't have Swiss in my fridge and I'm making this for dinner, I use whatever cheese I have in my drawer. This is about half a cup. I'm going to put about a third of it in there. I'm going to leave a little bit to put on the top at the end. Going to mix that up. And I don't have to worry about over mixing because there's no flour. Everything in here is already cooked. And that's that. Now we're just going to put it together. Now for me, I happen to have a pizza stone, which I love. And when I learned this recipe in the 90s, it was the era of home parties. If you remember, stamp your heart out. You can go to those card making parties and buy all their things, the candle parties where you go and look through the catalogs. But the biggest home party in the 90s was a Pampered Chef. And this is actually a Pampered Chef recipe. And this is what the lady served when I threw my very own Pampered Chef party at my house back in probably 1996 or 1997. And this recipe has stayed with me ever since because it's really versatile. So I have a pizza stone that I have one in the oven in now. But for your home, if you don't have a pizza stone, you can absolutely use a pie plate. Done it before many times. You can use a small little metal pizza pan, which is perfect. That's what I'm going to use to show you. You can use a square cookie dish, flat cookie pan. You can use anything that's flat to cook this, to make this in. Secret ingredient, simple, it's crescent rolls. Now I have our name brand crescent rolls here, but what's really nice is on sale at the stores, they all have their own store brands, which usually cost a lot less. And I use them all the time. If you're entertaining, I am gonna say this. Mostly I can never tell the difference between the generic brands and the name brands, but for the crescent rolls with the breads, these actually do tend to puff up just a little bit better than some of the generic brands. So I'm gonna open up my crescent rolls just like normal. I'm gonna roll them out. And instead of folding them up like crescent rolls, I'm going to separate them into their triangles. And I'm just going to put them in my little pizza pan here like a circle and make a circle out of them. Get them all separated. What's nice about these is they have that nice little perforation. You can separate them all up. And this one, look, this happens sometimes, not a big deal. I'm just gonna put it back together best I can. Gonna take a knife because the scoring wasn't very good there and just do it myself. Okay, so now we have our squares. We're gonna put them just right around in a circle, overlapping the corners. Let me get this done. I'll tilt it up so you can see what I'm doing here. So all I've done is just put them in a circle and I've left a nice little space in the center. That's it. Now I'm going to go back to my chicken mixture here. And you know what? I like to add a little pinch of salt and a little pinch of pepper at the end. You don't have to. Your bacon has salt in it. Cheese has a little salt. And if you're watching your salt, absolutely no need. But I do always like to add a little pepper in this. Just going to take a tablespoon. You can use a small cookie soup, but a tablespoon's fine. And I'm going to put just a little tablespoon, a little ball on each of my crescent rolls. So this right here, I am using one item of crescent rolls. If you're using this for, say, like again, you're having friends over for lunch or you're having a card game or something, doubling this with 2 crescent rolls and just a little bit more chicken, just double the recipe. Absolutely, it works for a crowd. But this right here is going to give me 8 tiny little sandwiches. They're perfect. Okay. There we go. I have all of these done. Just my 8 crescent rolls and my 8 little dollops of meat. And I'm going to fold my crescent rolls over each. Just going to fold them over. I'm just going to tuck them right underneath the inside circle. I'm going to go over there. I'm just going to tuck that under, over and under. This is the recipe, guys. And this is how we get our chicken ring. Something just a little bit more attractive than just having your chicken on a plate. Now, the last thing I'm going to do, I have some tomatoes here. I've cut them into nice slices and cut them in half. And I'm going to put one of those tomato slices right between each of my rings. Picking up the good ones. Now I have my oven preheated to 375, which is the same ingredients that are on the directions. But when you bake these just as crescent rolls, they usually only take about 15 to 17 minutes. I'm going to be cooking this for 20 to 25 minutes. I'm going to check it at 20. I want it to have that golden brown appearance like my crescent roll would. Now you'd think it would take less time because they're not rolled up, but because of the moisture in the chicken and the sauce that we used in there, it's actually going to take a little bit longer. You don't need to put any oil or anything on your pan. The crescent rolls are quite buttery. Absolutely, you can put a piece of parchment paper down underneath there. I think that actually comes out a little bit better, but this is going to be just fine when I'm done with it as well. Now, when I talked about variations, this one you'd see chicken, bacon, salt and pepper, a little bit of onion, boom, I'm done. I make this all the time as a taco ring. So I put taco seasoning in my meat, and I use ground beef or I use chicken. Instead of adding in the bacon and that, I'll add in some cheddar cheese, some black olives, and some green onions, and mix that all up. Do the same exact thing that I've done here, and I'll still put my tomatoes in. I also do the same thing without mayonnaise and mustard. I'll use ranch dressing as my sauce instead of the mayo and mustard. And sometimes if I have a little bit of broccoli left in the fridge, I'll do chicken and broccoli with some ranch and make that. So this is just a fun way to make chicken. It's a little prettier. It comes out a little bit funner than maybe what your normal meal looks like. And let's take a look and see what it looks like when it's done. And here it is. And at the very end, all you do is take that little bit of cheese you had left over, put a little bit of cheese on the top, make it look awful pretty there, and you have an absolutely adorable way to have some people over or not for lunch. But it's just, it's almost fancy, even though it's just so simple to do. So now, how do I serve this? One, if it's by myself, got some ranch dressing there. I can put that right in the center. If it's just me and my family, I'm going to slice it up and put it on a plate. But a really cute thing that you might want to do, if you decide to do this for, say you're having guests, like I said, a book club or whatnot, a really fun way to do it is take a bell pepper. Gonna cut that in half, take out my seeds. I'm gonna take my knife and I'm gonna cut some little triangles in here, make it look a little pretty. What I'm doing is I'm just making a little bowl. Because again, this would be great if you were having friends over to play cards, or you're having a little shower or something at your house. And I'm just going to take my ranch and I'm going to put it into my bell pepper. Now I will say this, red bell pepper would probably look prettier, but guess what? I told you this is things from your fridge. I had a green bell pepper in my fridge. I'm going to put that right in the center, and I'm going to take some lettuce. I'm going to put it right around there. And now, just with that little addition, you have an absolutely table-worthy dish to serve for friends. And again, remember, if I had used 2 of the crescent rolls, I would have 16 pieces that I could put out there. But what a pretty fun way. It's less than a cup of chicken, some Pillsbury, crescent rolls, and things I have in my fridge. And again, you can put whatever vegetable you want in there. You can skip the bacon, you can add ham. Whatever your recipe flavors are, this is just a fun way to have kind of a pretty dinner. It's just a little bit different. I hope you enjoy this. The recipe will be on the AgingNext website by the end of the day. And if you have any questions, I'll be on for a couple minutes to answer them. And again, we appreciate you for joining us. At AgingNext, we provide resources for people who are aging at home and want to age in place. We are here for you. You just don't know where to go for information, make us your first call. We'll help you get to the right person for whatever your situation is and what you need. Well, almost all of our services are come to you at no cost, like our programs. Not only do we have Stacy's Kitchen, but we do videos on helping to protect yourself from Medicare fraud. We do health seminars, all sorts of wonderful things. If you'd like to support us, I have a really fun way coming up in May. The AgingNext annual event will be held on May 5th. We'll be at the beautiful Padua Theater in Claremont. Lots of food, wine, and beer. Learn about all we do for the seniors in our community. And we have a special guest comedian coming out. One of our SoCal's most wonderful TV personalities will be joining us for a comedy show. We've got mariachis, and again, it's going to be a wonderful night on May 5th. For more information and tickets, please check out our website or give us a call.